Hello, I go by the name JKL, aka Yellow, and I'm going to be doing a track breakdown of my song Blue Glow off my new album Our Shape in the Negative. So what I was doing, I was just like fiddling around with some guitar chords that I had written for another song that I made called Brown Skies. And I really liked that song, but it was just sort of, it felt like too much of a sketch. It was like a little sketch of a song. So I took those chords and I was messing with them, playing through them again. So I was playing them through my Canyon pedal. It's a delay and looper pedal that I really like. It's got some really cool effects, like shimmer is what I ended up using on the guitar for this song. It's like a really cool, sparkly reverb. I really enjoyed how it sounded. I think it ethereal, kind of angelic, kind of heavenly. So I took that and then I added some different effects on here. I started by adding hyper chorus. I just wanted to make it a little wet, add a little bit more color to it, a little bit more stereo shaping. And I just did a little bit of EQ. And then I added some saturation with Tape Cassette 2, which is a free plugin. I like it a lot because I think the saturation, it adds a really nice warm crunch to whatever you put it on. And just added some wow filter to make it a little wobblier, give it some more character. Jumping over to an effect that I was going crazy with on a bunch of songs that I made at this time. It's a Haas effect by KHS. I love what it does for the stereo shaping. So when I added it to the guitar, I gave it about like a 20 millisecond delay in the right ear. So it gives the guitar just like a lot more volume and a lot more movement. So it's sort of like drifting in and out of your ears. I didn't do anything crazy for the bass. I just sort of was following like root notes, honestly. But I added Tectonic, which is a really cool plugin. With this, I did some like shaping. I like boosted some low end frequencies and widened them out, but then I cut a lot of that like mid frequency and I narrowed all the high end stuff so that the bass was just like really punchy. Then I EQ'd a little bit. And then onto one of my favorite things I did with this whole song is the drums. After I had that like bass line of melody down, was listening through some drum loops by Omari Jazz, who's a really insanely cool Portland-based musician. He makes some of the craziest music. I was just going through the like drum breaks that he has, and I found this one, and I really liked how it sounded organic, and that's a lot of what I was trying to go for on this album. I didn't like the rhythm of it. It didn't really work with the song. So I just chopped that drum loop up. I honestly don't even know what inspired me to chop it up in this way, but I had it in my head how I wanted it, like where I wanted the snares to be hitting, where I wanted the kicks to be hitting, and I just spent a lot of time like trying to really listen through and like get the rhythm right. Because this song is in 3/4, and I don't know what time signature these drums are in. They're a little like erratic sounding, but it's very intentional and very controlled, and to me it sounds great. And I love what I did with mixing for these too. If I take all the effects off of it, it sounds like there's not a lot of punch to it. I wanted the drums to be super punchy and super crunchy and super saturated and really warm. One of my favorite albums, Voodoo by D'Angelo, recorded entirely onto tape. So I'm emulating it with these plugins. I'm trying to get that warmth and some of that distortion. And so for this main drum loop, first I added Sketch Cassette, which is a really fantastic cassette emulator plugin. I have a lot of saturation, which this type B saturation. It just adds a lot of weight to the punch in the drums. And I gave it more of a used feel on like a cheap cassette because I liked how it sounds. Added that, and then I added Little Radiator, which is a really cool distortion plugin. Again, just going for more of that warmth, more of that crunch in the drums. A little bit of EQ, specifically on the kick and the drum loop. And I added this free plugin called Red Bass just to give it like a little subbiness in the kick. And I have that sidechained to like a white noise vinyl hiss. so that every time the drums hit, it's cutting out that like vinyl sound. But when the drums aren't hitting, that vinyl sound is filling back in that space. Again, just giving the drums like a lot of noise, a lot of grit, and a lot of character. I added to the loop like a couple other like little rides and open hi-hat, this little like fill thing, which is also from another Omari Jazz drum loop. And then I sent all of these sounds to a drum bus. And on the drum bus, I have a little bit of EQ, and I added a stereo shaper just to widen it out. And then just like I put on the guitar, I put a Haas filter, except this time it's just half a millisecond delayed in the left ear. Where the guitar was filling up more of that left ear on time, it's got like the drums are dragging just a little bit, and then the right ear guitar is dragging a little bit, but then the drums are on time. So it's creating like a really neat pocket for the sounds to come together. Once I had that, you bring in the bass and the guitar, and it sounds like this. I would say this section of this song is one of the parts that has ended up being like pretty light. It's pretty free-flowing. There's not a crazy amount going on as opposed to some other songs on the album, which I think allows space for the lyrics on this song and the message that I'm trying to give. It allows a lot of space for those to really be the highlight. Now we can sort of build into the next section where we get the guitar solo riff kind of thing that I was doing, which I actually had this whole song like written, recorded, produced, mostly mixed and everything too, but there's just something missing from it. And I knew that it needed a little bit more push to be engaging. So that's when I decided to add this little like riff, this little guitar line on top. A lot of the times I like having my top lines for guitar be reverbed, delayed out, and atmospheric, and so I'm doing the same thing here. I just have it sent to the Valhalla vintage verb, which I definitely paid for it. I got it exactly the route that Valhalla wants you to get it. It's a really good reverb. I think it's like it's pretty popular among a lot of producers who get their hands on it. And then the delay is just Fruity Delay 3, which is a stock plugin in FL, but I tweaked and made my own preset for it that I use for a lot of songs on the back half of the album. I also used this really cool ad-lib that I did. I recorded this for a song that was going to come out on an album that I was set to release a couple years ago. I don't remember how I made it. I don't have access to that project file anymore, but this ad-lib is like, sounds so fucking sick. And I use it in so many of my songs. It's probably on the album like easily like a dozen times. I think it's in the song itself like 2 or 3 times. It's just such a cool sound effect. So essentially I just recorded myself screaming a bunch of times and put some really cool reverb and delay effect on all of them. And it came out with that. And I've tried recreating something similar and I haven't figured it out. And I'm okay with it because I think it sounds fucking fantastic. And I've used it so much over the past few years since I made it. The last major instrument in the first part of the beat is this little dreamy flute. It's a preset from a plugin that I love called Surge. I don't remember when I got it, where I got it, how I got it, why I got it. But this plugin, I use sounds from this thing all the time. Whenever I'm looking to find a really cool synth or a piano, I do so many of my top line melodies when they're not guitar. I'd say it's like an 80% chance that it came from Surge. This dreamy flute sounds really weird. I recorded it playing a G sharp, and then I bounced it out, stretched it, and then I played with some pitch stuff here. I play it in the track. You can see the pitch changing up top here. I just pitched it down 10 semitones and like slowly bring it back up for a couple bars and then bring it back down, and it just sort of goes through that loop throughout the whole song. And the processing that I put on that, I EQ'd it, more little radiator, my obsession. I put Crystallizer, which is a fucking sick-ass delay plugin. So if I play it without it, it's just nothing exciting is really happening. But then all of that like weird higher pitched delay stuff that gives it a lot of like ambiance and flavor, that's Crystallizer's bag. It's one of the coolest delay plugins you can use. I wanted the instrumental to be dreamy, sort of dissociated, like a little bit of a pull away from something more grounded and something more real. And now onto the most explosive part of this song, but also probably the most explosive part on the entire album, which is the outro of Blue Glow. So I start by having this slow little beat. I have this slow build into it of just like instrumental, and then we get to this riser and this drum fill that I've been using in quite a few places on this song into this crazy big drop. Okay, I have not made a ton of music that sounds like this before. This is definitely like a step in a new direction for me, and I have no idea how I got to the point that I did. I just got it in my head that I wanted something that hit hard, that was so explosive, and with this crazy ass bass come in. But I think it sounds so good. It's like just such a big explosive finale for the album before transitioning into the mostly calmer outro that is Real Time Socialize. In this section, there's a lot of shit going on. We've got this weird vocal pad that I have like this Valhalla Supermassive on, which is an actually free like reverb delay plugin. I have this preset that I love that I use on everything. I just throw it all over shit to get like really cool spacey sounding ad-libs, sounding melodies. It's one of my favorite things to use. Some stereo shaping to make it a lot wider, then just some EQ to cut some of the higher frequencies. Without effects, sounds like this. So I also have this vocal pad routed to this bus with Crystallizer and phase. And you put the effects on it and it sounds super glitchy and super weird. And then next, we have this piano layer right here, which is also routed to that same chorus section. I'm just playing these two chords like over and over again, sort of like I put some sketch cassette on that to give it some more like grit, some more character. And then it's routed to the same like chorus bus with the Crystallizer and phaser on it. And I have this bouncing between the two ears. It's like really cutting really crazily, so you get a lot of like very jagged movement to wake you back up. I wanted this section to like snap you awake. If you're the sleepiest you have ever been, this section is going to wake you up and energize you and get you going. That's what it did for me as I was making it. So I hope it does the same for you. I have this weird little polysynth playing, which also, it's panning again between the two ears. It's got Magic Switch, which it's like a free, super simple one-button chorus. Again, routed to the Crystallizer and to the phaser. Crazy sounding shit. Now we get to the drums for the outro. I have kick. We have the hi-hats, which is from, I believe, a Pandy drum kit. And I put this modulating delay plugin called Chow Matrix. And I have, rest in peace, trans icon, Sophie. I use one of her incredible, awesome, iconic snares. Of course, I want to have a Sophie snare on my album. It's perfect for this style of music. It's super punchy. It cuts through the mix. And it's really ear-grabbing. But then the bass is what brings everything together in this section. I have the kick sidechain to it just to make it like cut through the mix, make it so ear-grabbing. But this bass, it's a Serum preset called Mean Rar Bass. I just have some shapeshifter just to like compress it and distort it a little bit. And the last thing that we're missing is this little kalimba sound that I recorded like 3 years ago at a music shop. Nothing too crazy. It's got a little bit of a chorus on there and a little bit of little radiator to give it some distortion. But then as the song is playing, I have it just sort of modulating through that same chord that the piano was playing. And so when everything is being panned hard to the right, being panned hard to the left, so that you're getting that like really two distinct different melodic sounds in each ear to create bursts of really eclectic, weird, reverby, delayed out sounds that is just sort of like overwhelming and like swimming in between both of your ears and your stereo. Thank you guys for sitting with me and hearing me break down my song Blue Glow off my new album Our Shape in the Negative, out everywhere now. I appreciate all of the support and all of the love this project's gotten so far. And I wanted to try something new, explain some of my process to anybody that was willing to click on the video. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for listening to me. Go stream the album, and I'll see you next time. Peace.